Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane is confident she will serve her full term until 2023. Mkhwebane is inspecting the controversial 15 million rand Lesserton sports facility in the Eastern Cape. She has 10 days to convince the president why he shouldn't suspend her from office 18 months before her non-renewable term ends in October 2023. Mkhwebane says her removal will not assist communities who are exploited by their leaders.
Abantu abanazinto uyes president yena nganginiki letter but uzanceda ngani. Will the removal or anything to me help these people around here babe neindlela babe ne infrastructure ekhona? But that is a legal process, we'll deal with it masifikile isikhathi. But nje mina ngikusho ukuthi thina simvikele umphakathi, we are here to protect the public ukuthi ngadlalwa ngabantu kumosha imali zomphakathi. I am confident I will continue serving the public until 2023 October.
Let's bring in political analyst now, David Mailmela, this hour, just to discuss this tussle between the president and the public protector. David, good afternoon. I don't know if you were able to hear that bite there that we got of the public protector when she's visiting a community in the Eastern Cape. She said she's confident she will finish her term until 2023, no matter what. But we know now that the president has given her 10 days to explain why he should not suspend her. I wonder where that confidence comes from.
Well, I think that we are all confident that we should finish the jobs that we've started. So I think she's probably informed by that sense of
yes.
Wanting to complete a term of office.
Yeah, I saw a report earlier where she said she's asking the president to be fair on her and that she's going to be seeking legal advice. Is there any, do you think there's anything indicating in any way, shape or form that the president might be unfair to her at this stage?
No, I think then the best way to understand this is to understand that many of the big decisions that have got to be made by Parliament, which is to appoint or remove an official or a Chapter 9 institution head and so on, appoint a speaker, deputy speaker and all of that, those appointments are actually political appointments, or they follow a political process that is prescribed in the Constitution. But the genesis of it, or where they actually start at the National Executive Committee of the ANC, which is the governing party and the majority party in Parliament. So it's now a fait accompli that it is more than likely that the public protector will be removed from office on the basis that the National Executive Committee of the ANC has more or less agreed on this, and the motion is being carried through in Parliament. So that simply, becomes a matter of formality. But I think the decision and the conviction is already settled at the level of the party, and the party is just going through the motions. And so the president is actually following the letter and the spirit of the Constitution, which actually prescribes in Section 194 that once Parliament begins that process, the president must then give notice of suspension.
So it's just part of the process. There's no way she's going to survive this.
No, there's no way she's going to survive this. But remember, it's not only about the process or the legalities of the issue. If you are to give it a political interpretation, it is quite clear that public perceptions in politics do matter, and the public perception and the political perception surrounding the current public protector. Some people argue and allege that she is seen to be more sympathetic to the former president, Jacob Zuma, and probably another faction in the ANC that may not be palatable with the current incumbent faction in the ANC. So if you are to to look at it from that perspective, you will realize that it also may have to do with what is coming up in December in 2022, because as you know, in politics, it's important that you have the right people at the right places when you are in a political process to do something. And that political process to do something in this instance has got to do with the National Conference of the AIDS.
I'm just thinking about the legal process, away from the politics, just to hear your thoughts in that same context. It's the first time we have an impeachment that is happening, a process in Parliament. It's the first of its kind in terms of a Chapter 9 institution leader. And its decision, if it carries on, would be later this year by September. Do you think that will happen before or after? Or do you think the president will have fired her by then?
No, I think the president will take cue from Parliament. So if Parliament does really find her to be unfit and improper to hold office, then the president has got no option but to follow through the legal process and the constitutional prescription, which allows him to actually proceed with the action to remove the head of the Chapter 9 institution, in this instance, the head of the Public Protector Office.
Yeah, how important is it not to allow ANC party politics ahead of the conference in December? How important is not to allow that, or is it possible at all, David, not to allow that to colour who sits in that public protector's leadership position? Because it's a very important Chapter 9 institution, or that's not avoidable?
No, then, sometimes it's difficult to it's actually not even sometimes, actually, most of the time, it's actually difficult to remove politics from economics and from the law. Politics gives rise to the law, gives rise to the state, and determines the allocation of resources in society, determines the balance of power and all of that. So it's important that what is important here is that the removal or the installation of any office bearer, be it a member of parliament, a minister, a president, a speaker, or even the public protector, that it actually follows the spirit and the letter of the law. The politics is what we see, observe, and analyze from time to time, which we cannot avoid. We can't assume that it's only a legal or a constitutional process. We've got to also think broadly and in a lateral sense to understand basically what could be the politics behind it. But that does not mean that if there is a political motivation or a political context that actually forces this kind of a situation, it does not mean that the law can be violated or be ignored.
Yeah, thank you very much for your views and insights as usual. David Mailmela, very much appreciated. He's a political analyst. It's going to be interesting, a few weeks that are going to happen. I wonder what's going to happen after 10 days. The public protector would have responded to the president and said, this is why I believe I should still carry on to do my job until October 2023, when my term naturally will come to an end. And then the president will say, well, maybe I'm not going to allow you to continue while the impeachment process in Parliament is underway. I'm deciding to suspend you, but let's wait for September. It's going to be very interesting. But David makes a valid point. Everything is coloured through political lens, especially with that looming ANC elective conference in December.